You've been told that kindness, vulnerability, and emotional openness are the keys to connection. That the more you express your feelings, the more you'll be seen and loved. That if you listen well enough, give often enough, and soften your edges enough, you'll be rewarded with devotion. But Calvin Reid flips that narrative. And what he uncovers is a brutal truth that most women will never admit, not because they're malicious, but because it challenges the foundation of socially acceptable love. Women are not deeply drawn to men who are soft, needy, or too emotionally available. They're wired, biologically and psychologically, to be attracted to men who embody strength, presence, purpose, and a quiet kind of independence. Not control, not arrogance, but a man who is centered, unshaken, grounded in something greater than her. That's the paradox. The very man she feels most for is the one who needs her least. Calvin Reid lays bare a truth that's uncomfortable. The modern dating advice men are fed is often the exact opposite of what generates true attraction. Men are taught to over-accommodate, overshare, and seek emotional validation like currency. So the problem? Well, it's that currency loses value the moment it becomes too available. The moment you start prioritizing being liked over being respected, you honestly enter some pretty dangerous territory. You stop being a man she wonders about, and instead, you start becoming the man she manages. Reid makes it clear, women want emotional availability, yes, but not at the cost of polarity. They want a man who can open his heart, but not pour it out at their feet. They want connection, but still need to feel his center isn't shaken by theirs. And this is where most men fall short. Not because they're weak, but because they've been misled. They believe that chasing equals caring, that texting constantly, being always available, over-explaining, over-accommodating, that all of this proves worth. In reality, it proves fear. Fear of loss, fear of not being enough, fear of not being chosen. And women, on a deep instinctual level, pick up on this fear. And while they may appreciate the gestures, they don't crave them. They don't anchor desire to them. Desire is not born from overconnection. It's born from distance, from space. From a man who is so grounded in his mission, his values, his life, that her presence feels like a reward, not a requirement. Calvin Reid's insight is brutal because it shifts the entire responsibility back to men, not in a blameful way, but in a liberating one. It says, don't play the game of being what you think she wants. Be who you are, fully, and let her witness it. It's a call not to hardness, but to wholeness. When a man is whole, he doesn't fear loss because he knows who he is outside of love. And paradoxically, that's the very energy that draws love in. Think about it for a second. When have you actually been the most attractive? Was it when you were chasing and honestly feeling a bit desperate? Or was it when you were really dialed into your own life, your work, your vision, and love just kind of became part of your orbit? Women can sense when a man has options, not just in romance, but spiritually, professionally, even existentially. He has options because, well, he's rooted in value, not in chasing approval. And here's the interesting part. Approval, when it's not your main goal, actually becomes a byproduct. There's another layer to this brutal truth. Women often don't even consciously realize this is happening. They'll say they want a nice guy, someone who communicates well, who's attentive and emotionally fluent. And yeah, they do want those things, but honestly, only from a man who holds frame, who doesn't seek their emotionality to define his own, who listens but doesn't lose himself in the conversation, who shares but doesn't collapse. Women want strength, not physical domination, but emotional sovereignty. And that's what Calvin Reid exposes, that many men are trying to love women the way women love, through nurturing, affection, and constant emotional communication. But male love isn't meant to mirror female love. Male love is meant to contain, to guide, to create a stable container in which chaos can relax. That doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being unmoved by unnecessary drama, undistracted by tests, and unfazed by temporary storms. In practical terms, this looks like having boundaries, saying no when something crosses your value system, not rushing to fix every emotional wobble, not making her mood the thermostat of your masculinity. It looks like having passions that don't involve her, friends, purpose, goals, Real pursuits that remind her daily that your world doesn't spin around her, even if you value her deeply. That reminder, that's what creates the gravitational pull. Not the flowers, not the late-night texts, but the silent power of a man who chooses her, not needs her. She might not say this out loud. In fact, most won't, because it sounds selfish or shallow. But, attraction isn't really politically correct, it's biological. And women, when given the option, will almost always gravitate toward the man whose center of gravity is internal, not external. So if you're wondering why being the good guy hasn't worked, why being overly available hasn't actually yielded deep respect, it's because you've been operating on the wrong channel. You've been trying to win hearts by abandoning your spine. You've tried to earn loyalty through comfort, not power. But here's the shift. Stop playing to be liked. Start living to be respected. Respect doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It builds. It stands. And yeah, it walks away when it must. Not to punish, but to protect its own integrity. And when a man operates from this place, women notice. Even if they can't name it, they feel it. The brutal truth women will never admit is that what draws them in isn't just love, it's leadership, not control. Leadership, the leadership of self, the command of presence. The quiet authority of a man who knows where he's going, whether or not she joins him. Calvin Reed isn't calling for manipulation, he's calling for mastery. And mastery starts with silence, with stillness, with observing, not reacting, with speaking when you mean it, not when you fear silence, with letting a woman earn your vulnerability rather than flooding her with it from the start. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose, to build, to lead, to love from abundance, not desperation. And when you do, everything changes, not because you chased it, but because you became it. This is the sovereign doctrine, where men don't perform worth, they embody